The Kenya Revenue Authority has revealed that the government lost 9.2 billion shillings through an irregular tax write-off by the National Treasury. While appearing before the National Assembly's Finance Committee, KRA's top governing body accused Treasury of flouting processes and procedures in granting tax waivers and abandonment to individuals and institutions, resulting in huge revenue losses. Serfina Cheng Ouma with the details of the multi-billion shilling irregular approvals that have now put the Kenya Revenue Authority at loggerheads with the National Treasury.
The new management of the Kenya Revenue Authority appeared before the National Assembly's Finance Committee to give an update on the overall tax reliefs and incentives granted from January 2018 to February 2023. KRA revealing that exemptions, waivers and abandonment were a major obstacle to the realization of revenue targets. A total of 20.4 billion shillings worth of tax was written off between January 2018 and February 2023. With a session in Parliament bringing to light shocking revelations of irregular approvals allegedly made by Treasury that have now put it at loggerheads with KRA. According to Section 37 of the Tax Procedures Act of 2015, only KRA has the mandate to make submissions and recommend the abandonment or writing off of tax to the National Treasury.
The law is very clear on the process of applying for abandonment. So we want to know which were those abandonments and exemptions that Kenya Revenue Authority recommended not to be abandoned or exempted, and Treasury went ahead and abandoned or exempted without coming back to Kenya Revenue Authority.
We are having of NCBA, LDK, KBL, Maendeleo Wanawake, and the Ministry of ICT. That process was not followed. They applied directly to the CS National Treasury, and the CS National Treasury gave the abandonment without consulting the KRA. And that is why it was revoked.
One of the biggest beneficiaries was the Kenya Breweries Limited, which owed taxes worth over 22 billion shillings, arising from the application of wrong excise duty remission rate on its Senator Keg product. KBL objected the amount indicated in the first tax assessment period worth 11.2 billion shillings, arguing that they were entitled to apply 90% remission rate as per Section 68 of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, opposed to 50% as it had been argued by KRA, which pegged its defence on the provisions of the remission of excise duty regulations of 2013.
So the 11.1 is where there was an ambiguity in law, and one setting a remission of 90%, another a remission of 50%. And when that was realized, the case was ruled, I would say, maybe based on the advice from the Attorney General, in favour of the taxpayer.
The Attorney General could, however, not find substantial reasons for the writing off of the remaining 11.7 billion shillings owed by KBL for the second period of the tax assessment done by KRA since the applicable section of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act had been repealed by Parliament. But despite receiving a formal communication about the outcome of the determination, KRA reveals that the National Treasury still went ahead to approve an abandonment of 8.2 billion shillings, allowing KBL to only pay 3.5 billion shillings.
Like that one of East Kenya Breweries, the Commissioner General wrote a letter categorically stating that he doesn't see any grounds for the abandonment to be granted, but the National Treasury went ahead and gave the abandonment.
Chair, maybe we need to call Treasury and tell us why they have been doing this. Because actually, to me, they have been frustrating KRA.
KRA also revealed how Treasury irregularly approved the abandonment of 80% of principal tax that was owed by another brewing company, London Distillers Kenya Limited, a company that had applied for abandonment of tax worth 895 million shillings. In the period under review, Treasury also approved the application by the Ministry of ICT for abandonment of 612.7 million shillings, the ministry's share of the 1.4 billion shillings it was to co-pay with Huawei Technologies Limited, in spite of KRA's contestation that withholding tax was an agency tax that cannot be abandoned. Treasury is also said to have approved the abandonment of over 38 million shillings owed by Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization, despite the fact that the monies were value-added tax and pay-as-you-earn, taxes that cannot be written off under the law. KRA is pushing for the revocation of the 9.2 billion shillings worth of tax abandonment to allow the tax body to pursue and recover the monies owed to the government by the said entities. The revelations come at a time when President William Ruto has given the Times Tower-based agency very high revenue targets.
I expect KRA to raise at least 3 trillion by the end of the next financial year and to double the current collection in 5 years.
The Kenya Revenue Authority has also revealed that the government missed out on a total of 620.5 billion shillings in tax reliefs and incentives that were granted between January 2018 and February 2023. Safin Acheng Oma, Citizen TV.